guys, we are back. This is Crime Scene Analysis. I am Angie.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Caroline.
And we finally have a new episode. Yay! We are here for episode 208, Ouroboros. Dun, 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 dun. Written by the incredibly talented pair of Nora and Lila Zuckerman, directed by Mr. Choked on air, Chris Grismer.
How long was that? I think it was less than a minute.
How to podcast for dummies.
Okay, sorry. There's so much. There's just so much. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Like, I could talk an entire hour about Alan Cumming alone.
Yes.
But we must get to other things. So we're going to mix it up. We're actually going to start with a mini deep dive. Caroline has some intel for us about the title of our show.
Yeah, so the title of this episode is Ouroboros, which just happens to be the symbol on the shirt that I'm wearing, and one of my favorite symbols ever. It's a bit of a complicated symbol. It's been in a whole lot of things. It started off in ancient Egypt, made its way into alchemy, was sort of referenced in the Bible, kind of. Jess is like, oh. The Leviathan. Supposedly, I don't know, this is Wikipedia, but there's a whole lot of different meanings that it has. I first learned about it from one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Annihilation by the great Alex Garland, if anyone has ever seen that. There's a whole lot of meanings behind it, usually involving like eternity and how life constantly repeats itself. Obviously, it's the snake eating its own tail, so it's kind of like everything, what goes around comes around and comes back around again. In rewatching the episode, and even while I was watching it the first time, I don't know if the show really gets the meaning of it quite exactly, because they're also referencing other things involving snakes, like cutting off the head of the snake and the snake in its own tail and stuff, which is like a military term for like you cut off the head of the snake, you kill the rest of the army, which Endicott's already dead. I don't really know what they were going for. We could go further into, is this like time repeating itself? Oh, so it's like Ainsley becoming Martin and, Endicott was dead and now all of a sudden this stuff is coming back around again. I don't know. Regardless, I love this symbol. Huxley tries to talk about it towards the end. I don't really know if he understands what it means, but that's his persona. And you know what? I accept it. So that's that.
He has a lot of like, I'm just going to talk and look amazing until I convince people that I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. I'm going to get you to believe that I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's the whole key.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into it. So my first timestamp has to do with our kind of lone actual song that shows up in the episode. And it's in French, so forgive me, okay? The song is called Ça plaint pour moi. Okay, and the 95% of it is in French, but I looked up the translation because that's how we roll, okay? It is by Plastic Bertrand, which is my new favorite band name of all time. Which, by the way, shout out, I have my Final Child shirt on today. Woo-woo! Mrs. Ackerman. I'm going to call Tom Mr. Ackerman because, quite frankly, she's equally as talented. And
yes,
you know what?
Very fitting.
We're going to support her. So props to Final Child. We love you. So the entire song by Plastic Bertrand is primarily in French, like I said. I think this is really the first time that a regular song has been chosen strictly based on the music. The lyrics have nothing to do with anything else in this entire episode. It's all about like a night out and this crazy chick I met and things like that in French. But the actual melody is just too perfect for this scene when we're showing Simon and like his morning routine of like, the manicure with the mimosa, this and that, versus, Malcolm crunching pills and doing pull-ups on the stairs and all that good stuff. So it's too upbeat and peppy to not love, regardless of the lyrics itself. And I put side note for thirsty fans. Yes, we got to see some pull-up Tom. It was enjoyable, but I do want to give him a little bit of credit. We already vented about this on our personal chat, but like, that's a very hard thing to do a slow pull-up. That is not easy, okay? Like that takes a lot of control. And to be doing the overhand versus the underhand is also another thing that takes a degree of difficulty and control. So, I mean, props. You made the whole fandom thirsty, but you earned it because you did a good job.
He's a gymnast.
Yes. Speaking of pills we chomp, we have another mini deep dive. We're not even 25 seconds in, folks, and we got 2 deep dives. This is epic.
Bringing it back.
Yes, we're coming back strong. Let's go.
No, this is ADHD. No, this is just I am just so obsessed with figuring out what pills he's on. I don't know if it's just me and my own personal connections to him, and if you can't make your own, serotonin store-bought is fine. That brand of we're okay with it. Yeah. I was spending so much time pausing every single second the screen trying to figure out what meds he's on, and looking up different medications based on the shapes of them. Like he has some square shaped pills that fall out, and I was looking up square shaped psychiatric drugs, because a lot of them are recognizable by that. And eventually I caught one of them, which I think we've already figured out that he's on Xanax, or as it's written on his bottle, alprazolam, which is for panic disorder and anxiety, yada yada yada. The other thing is that he bites his pills. I wrote so many swears in here that I'm not allowed to say on this because we can't say swears yet.
It made the hairs on the back of my neck. I can't bite into ice cream because it freezes my teeth. And it did that same visceral reaction. I was like, no, I could not handle it.
Yeah. There's also certain medications you should not break.
Well, yep, that's what I focused on. You should really...
Especially in your mouth.
Yeah, because...
Especially if he's got multiple ones, and a lot of psych meds are controlled release to be released reactive with your stomach at a certain point.
Precisely.
Oh my goodness. Watching Twitter go absolutely nuts over Malcolm chewing his pills was the funniest thing after.
Here's the thing though, is that deliberate though? Is that him going, I don't want the slow release, I need
I would think so, because that's what the majority of people who do that. That's the reason why. I don't think it was
just meant as a comedic moment. I think it's desperation of
chop,
chop, let's go.
That's exactly how I interpret it to mean, is I can't wait for this to kick in. This is something that I have struggled with my own medicine, not chewing my own, my ADHD pills, because it takes 90 minutes to kick in. So I'm oh, they're so badly, but they're also capsules, so I can't do that. But he's totally doing it to get the effect instantaneously, but it's also, one, most of the time not good for your stomach, and two, you can die if you chew on your pills that you're not supposed to,
or your mouth. You can cause chemical issues in your mouth.
You can enter your bloodstream very quickly if you crush them in your mouth.
Yeah, this is why people when they do things like cocaine and stuff, they break it apart and then snort it to get it quicker into your bloodstream. So please don't be
snorting his pills.
Yes, that's exactly.
Let's just call a spade a spade. He's he basically just did that.
Yeah, no, he literally, that's exactly what he did. So PSA, please don't be Danger Boy here. Please check with your doctor before you crush or bite or do anything with your pills. Please.
Yes, please.
Good call. Very good call. I do want to put a disclaimer out. I apologize. I hope it does not pick up on my mic, but I'm going to have cough drops in my mouth for the entirety of this episode. I've got an issue with my throat, and I'm trying not to hack up a lung on the camera. So I apologize if you hear this constantly. I will do my best to try to not have to deal with that.
And I'm going to try not to comment on it.
Yeah, I'm going to do the best I can, because otherwise I'm going to start squeaking like I did at school today, and that would be humorous, however horrible for the audio. So, okay, so the next timestamp is 1:59, to which I just put, why do we give Martin so much access to pointy things? Why? Now, I understand completely from the perspective of the Dr. Capshaw, someone's bleeding out. I don't have time to walk away from them for a second to see what just fell onto the floor. But I also feel you had 2 orderlies right there, and then Mr. David immediately takes Martin back. You didn't see the stuff on the floor. You didn't think, now's a good time. I worked in a prison. Now's a good time to take count of the instruments and see if someone took something. That's the first thing you would do. I know that doesn't work for the plot, but Martin has a lot of access to contraband just chilling in his room.
Mhm.
We're just not checking on it. Like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Just turn away, Mr. David. At 2:46, I talked about our kind of opener with Simon, and I talked about specifically, we had a little bit of like a we've been on hiatus info dump there on the phone with Malcolm and Jess. They deliberately do this thing where it's like, let's deliberately talk about stuff that's previously happened on the phone so that anyone who's forgotten in 7 weeks might need a reminder. So it was definitely one of the, just like later, I'll talk about that too when we get to Malcolm doing the cooking show. It's a situation where the dialogue literally serves no purpose for a fan that obsessively watches it like we do. Like, we know what's happened. It serves for the casual or the new viewer who might not remember everything that has occurred. And you know, the hiatus was long. Things happen. People forget things.
Yep.
I adored Simon's intro being blowing this horn and scaring the bejesus out of the entire team.
This is my favorite, like, humorous part of the entire episode. I cannot with the boat horn. It's perfect. It sets the tone for how absolutely extra not only Alan the actor himself is, but the character is.
The thing is, they could not have better cast a role for this.
Yes.
Like, I mean, Alan Cumming is just everything. He gives 0 Fs. Like, he's gonna be how he's gonna be. I love him for that fact. He's like old school Broadway, like, I'm here, like that's what he's gonna do. And that intro was funny. We knew from the end of the last episode going into hiatus that he was extra, like, for sure, like with the ascot and the Interpol and just the I'm important, you know. And then he comes straight in, starts like profiling everybody to deliberately tell them, I know all your names, I know what you do, I know what you like. He's basically flexing in the most like extra way possible. I absolutely adore, and again, the entire internet went crazy. Danny's like, no, thank you. Don't mess. And then of course,
so
Malcolm's
necessary.
like, that's right. Face right afterwards.
It was so necessary. Like, yes, let's honor women's autonomy and be like, no, thank you. I do not want you to kiss my hand. You absolutely.
And I love the juxtaposition of JT was drinking the Kool-Aid immediately. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he called me smart. I bought his book. Yeah, that's right. I am the guy that's underused on this team. And Danny just went, nah, bitch. Like, and just pulled her hand back immediately. She's like, you don't impress me.
Yeah.
No,
Like, we should be
today's
playing some
age.
Shania Twain. Like, that
Yeah.
don't impress
And I
me
feel like
much.
JT is one of the people who usually is like, no.
Yeah.
Very true. He's usually skeptical.
So for him to immediately like, I have your book, like that was really funny. Yeah, definitely fangirling over Simon.
And in this part where he's kind of seriously dropping hints, okay, I'm sorry, but he is spewing like hardcore hints. I don't know how our NY team misses all the shade he's throwing at Malcolm.
Yeah.
Like, they're not that dumb.
And Malcolm's resulting
He's literally
face.
like if Malcolm's here, he's like Endicott's dead body, and he's like just throwing these phrases and glaring at him all the time. Like, listen, but we also get a Simon Huxley theme beginning in this scene, which is awesome. It's got like this weird kind of blend of playful and mysterious, which fits him really well.
Yes.
It's like there's a thing when you're writing music where a lot of times like major chords are usually like happy, upbeat, bubbly, and then the minor chords, which if you're looking on a piano are like the black keys on top, the majors are the white and the piano is the minor, the black is the minor. The minor stuff is usually like something really negative or heartbreaking or creepy, ominous, whatever. So it was nice to have like a blend of this really upbeat, peppy sound, but then at the same time, you still have those effects that we like to use in our songs a lot, that give you the like something's off vibe. And then this, of course, blows up a little bit more in a moment, but it was not, because I was deliberately waiting after I had that discussion about like what's Capshaw's theme going to be and so I'm like, what did you do? What did you do? I'm dying to hear what Bloom has done. And so we learn that he is an agent of Interpol. Is it an agent? I'm assuming it's agent. Is that the term for Interpol?
Agent
I think so.
of Europol.
Yeah, I said Interpol. Yeah, no, it's Europol. Duh. But yeah, I'm assuming it's agent. It's not like some other Scotland Yardy description,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I should Google this now, but I'm frankly just too lazy to do it. I'll let Jess talk about Europool instead. Go ahead, Jess.
So the very first time that we see Simon in the previous episode before our very, very long hiatus, we learn that he has something to do with what's called Europol, and he's still over in Estonia at that point. And when I heard this, I was kind of like, so I watch like a lot of crime shows. If you haven't figured that out, if you haven't listened to all of our previous episodes, yes, I watch a lot of crime shows. So I've heard Interpol a ton in various episodes, and I thought this was just their play on Interpol. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a Google real quick, and yeah, I had to. And yeah, they're actually two real organizations and two completely separate entities. So Europol operates entirely within the EU, the European Union, and takes care of, you know, cross-border crimes and investigations there. And then if a crime happens there and it's attached to something elsewhere, they may go elsewhere. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
Would not Brexit affect the fact that there would be a British Europol agent, or that he would be working within the realm of he's claiming to be Brit?
That's true. I mean, he may just be like British, but like
And still working for you. I'm just saying, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about European politics. If we,
Neither do I.
you know, like,
that is
if
so not
8
my
people that we know stuff
So
about
not-
that, please let us know.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
just
yeah,
curious. Go ahead.
So that's fine. So we have Europol, which is real. It's pertains just to the EU. And then we have Interpol, which is a global organization, and they do a lot more like broader stuff and essentially just aid in making law enforcement agencies able to improve what they do. So it's, you know, not just contained within the US, it's a global organization to cross borders with each other. So yeah. So that's
Real thing.
yeah,
The more you know.
real thing. I really thought it was just a play on Interpol, and nope, they're two completely different things, and they're both completely real. So
I'm sure that's something that like the European and like outside the US viewers are just looking like, yeah. But like we don't get that a lot in the US. It's always FBI, CIA, raw America. Like that's what we get all the time in the US. So it's very rare. Like I knew more about like MI6 because of some of the shows I've watched. But yeah, like I don't have a lot of personal knowledge on like Interpol or Europol or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say that this applies to the entirety of the episode, but it's really the first time it happens. Alan Cumming's eyebrows should have got a separate billing. They are so
they're a secondary character. Yep.
Constantly, hello, Whitleys, and all of this. It's amazing. I love it.
And the way that this might just be like a speech nerd thing for me, but the way that he rounds his lips sometimes when he finishes things, like I can't think of an example, but he goes like the end of it's beautiful for me as someone who pays attention to that. It's so much.
If some of that comes from the Broadway background.
Probably.
Because
totally.
like they will specifically tell people in a chorus, like you're going to finish this with a rounded mouth and you're going to finish it with a wide mouth, so it blends the sound.
Yeah, it's
like there was a whole kind of background Hamilton about that, about how they pick and chose who was going to end things with certain sounds.
It could definitely be that. Yeah, but there's also just the way that you shape your lips. Your lips are a part of your what we call your vocal tract. Like everything, it's a big tube with different things that modify the sound, and who knows, it could be a whole lot of things. And I also love how it just plays into his personality, and he puts a little more intention and meaning when he, you know, does certain things with his lips and his eyebrows, and it's wonderful.
He's like we said, I mean, he's extra from head to toe. Like everything about him, his eyebrows work overtime, everything.
Yep.
I also want to shout out the Zuckerman gals for every piece of dialogue out of that man's mouth. Yeah. Everything he said is golden. Like it is amazing. Like the aim lower Whitley, and then I don't even know if this was scripted or if it was just Alan, like the ha like I don't know who's responsible for that, whether it was him or them, but it's glorious. There's no other way to put it.
Speaking of the Zuckermans, that night I saw a tweet, and I mentioned it to Caroline, and
I know exactly where you're going.
off of that. Nora tweeted, I don't have the actual full tweet in front of me at the moment.
Oh, I
Nora
do.
tweeted regarding Simon, almost called him Alan.
Yep.
Simon's moniker of being the Mind Sleuth, and that it was a play off of what, Caroline?
Well, I have the tweet in front of
There
me.
you go.
So Nora Zuckerman said, I don't remember who came up with the nickname, and then mentions at Wyatt Kane or at Lila Zuckerman. Was it you? Mind Sleuth, like, who came up with the nickname Mind Sleuth, but the writer's room was like, what's the douchey version of Mind Hunter, aka my favorite show ever. And it stuck. And I love that. I also love how the name, like Mind Sleuth, it makes him sound very sort of like weaselly and, very sort of like tricky. And if you think about it, like, I don't know if mongooses are weasels, but mongooses kill snakes. So look at that symbolism.
So right after that scene, we have Huxley going down and being kind of interviewed. Of course, he's got to be in front of the cameras at some point, right? And my favorite part of this entire scene is not that he's talking directly to the killer he never catches, but it's the fact that this is the first time that I know of, don't at me, Nathaniel Bloom, that we have 3 themes blend in one song. So we have the Huxley theme as he's like being all, peacocky and whatever. And then when Ainsley's trying to ask, like, is there a suspect? You get her little techno thing that popped up earlier. And then it eventually weaves into that version of the We're the Same theme when Malcolm and her do the, like, we're in some trouble eyeballs. And it's just a cocktail of awesome. Honestly, that's just the best way to put it. And I'm almost positive, like I'm 99.9% positive it's the first time we've had 3 different themes weave, because we haven't had more than one theme before, really. So I definitely like had to geek out, rewatch the 20 seconds over and over way too many times to be considered normal, but I'm not normal, so it's okay.
I heard the Ainsley theme in there.
I did too.
I
thought of you.
I was like, my girl!
I tweeted it Bloom, so I could hear the Ainsley theme, but I knew it wasn't entirely Ainsley's theme. So I was like, I can't wait to see what Angie says about this.
I gotta be honest, I was a little proud at the tweet. I was like, oh, she caught it.
I too, because I knew you weren't in Discord, so I was like, oh, proof that I heard it. You're teaching me things.
Yes. At 7:14, we finally get some long-awaited details on what happened with Endicott's body. Now, I want to immediately start off by saying, I'm kind of team our idea. I prefer flat rate box VJ in Estonia. Just saying, like DHL, I feel like, I'm just saying, we had an opportunity, writers. I don't know. You do you. It's fine. But we do find out that Malcolm kind of cleverly used Endicott's own game to take him out. And I'll be honest, like I was really unsure if we were even going to get those details at all, or if it was just going to be mysterious and in the background or whatever. So I kind of like it. I do like it. Feels like full circle and well wrapped, and like, okay, it's not some random cheat code to get out of our situation. Yes. So I'm okay. Like I'm happy with that explanation, even though it doesn't involve Vijay, but whatever, it's fine.
Or DHL, flat rate box.
Or a flat rate box stuffed with Endicott's pieces, whatever, it's fine.
But we do get to meet the guest star that night, who was Caden Kearney, I think is how you pronounce their last name, who I saw Lou tweeted about them saying that this might have been their first breakout role, and I ended up totally deep diving into them and being like, oh, who is this person? They're a trans non-binary actor. They are a recent graduate of UC Irvine. They've been in theater. They have a theater background just like Alan Cumming does, and I'm just like so happy for them, like, yay.
They did a great job. I mean, like, I'll go into that later, but like the moment where the switch flips, I just went, ooh, like I'll go later. I don't have
to. I saw someone comment on Lou's tweet about that. They were like, this is their first like on-screen role? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, well played. Absolutely well played.
They did a damn good job.
Many more to come. Yes, many more to come. And also, side note, loved the hair. I know that's such a minute and shallow thing, but the hair was awesome. Very much enjoyed At 9:55, I just wrote, this must have been the Gil scene. Him, Alan and Gil, but I just said my new ship is Alan Cumming and everyone. And that's all I said. So it must have been that scene. That fits about right.
Yeah.
I love that. I'll talk about this a little bit later too. I was hoping that this was going to be a more than one episode stint for him. So that is one little bitty like depressive thing for me. I was like, oh man, we did this all in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I love that they literally passed him around like every character with the exception of Adrisa, who wasn't in the episode, and got him like some one-on-one sparring time with everyone, because he's just so amazing. You have to put him with everyone. And I just, everybody like just met that energy and exceeded that energy. And I mean, the scene with him and Lou was amazing. The scene with him and Bellamy is amazing. The absolute throwdown profiler pissing match, it was amazing in the loft. And I just wish we had more. That's all. I wish we had more of him.
And I saw one of the writers tweet, I believe it was Nora, she was the one I see tweet the most. She said that we plan to have him do the one-on-one interrogation style with every single main character.
Yes.
But they didn't get, only in for one episode. They didn't carry this portion of the arc out too long. So they didn't get the full-on interrogation with every single main character, but he does in some way.
Maybe those deleted scenes could be on a DVD special feature.
I love it.
We'll pay for things if we want them.
And with like some bloopers.
Yeah.
Son could get themselves on a Patreon and we could get some stuff.
I would join and pay for that. Like, you tell me my portion of the bill and I will pay for the bloopers.
I'm finding out people will pay for anything on Patreon. On the Patreon I'm on for a band, we're all like begging them to release the album early and we'll pay for it.
Going back to like the days where I used to buy DVDs of things, there's a habit of like the first season not having anything because they don't know if it's relevant yet. Like, are we even getting picked up again? Like, if you watch sitcoms, hour-long shows, like the available special features for season 1 are nothing compared to what happens extra. I don't know if COVID will affect that in terms of like doing behind-the-scenes footage and watching them film because only certain people can be in places. But I feel like we could at least get some deleted scenes and bloopers out of it. Like, that stuff's on film. Y'all can handle that.
Plenty of that.
Yeah. Shout out to the Below Deck reference from Danny.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yes.
I do not watch reality, but a lot of my family members do, and I've actually seen episodes of this. So I was like, oh hey, I get this reference. Cool.
I do. And when Danny started spewing off information back right before Alan popped in, before Simon popped in, she was talking about like, the bosun and the chief stew and stuff. And my head immediately went to Below Deck. I don't watch it as religiously as I did last year, but it's a show I watch with my cousins almost weekly. And so the fact that she was just like, what, I watched a lot of Below Deck. And I was like, I knew it.
No, I had a patient.
How else would she know this information?
Exactly.
From like an upscale Hamptons family that would be sailing or doing anything else. So the only logical explanation is it's a reality show.
Yeah, I know. I had a patient who watched it, and I dislike reality TV with a
Me too.
burning passion, but that was just like the only way I could build rapport with them was saying, this show is ridiculous. And being like, I know, right? It's like, okay, fine. I just love that. I love that we get a little more of Danny's personality and stuff there with like, okay, she watches reality TV. Sure. Can you show me your apartment or where you dwell?
Backstory?
Can we get more backstory?
Coming soon, darn it. At 12:34, we have the phone call between Malcolm and Martin, and I really appreciated Michael Sheen's like hands. There's this moment where Malcolm's being like all chivalrous, where he said, well, if she just died, you would clean up your problem, no big deal. And he's like, she doesn't deserve to die. And he just goes, yeah, you're right, of course. Like, just the way I loved it. I don't know why, but I laughed so hard at the like, damn it. Like, he was so angry.
He's like visible and audible defeat in Martin.
Yes, and that's so like Michael. Like, I sincerely doubt that was written into the script. That's him as Martin going, this kid, like, he's so angry that his son's like chivalry that
like my daughter wouldn't feel the same way about this.
he was like, if this was Ainsley, she'd stabbed him already. For God's sakes. Like,
I had titled this whole section of my notes, Martin Whitley is back on his bullshit.
Fair.
I loved the Brit joke. I can't help it. Like the fact that it's a triangle of Brits / Scottish we are talking about in this scene. Like they're self-deprecating everyone involved in this conversation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
And that's what I
There's so
wrote.
much
I was
pettiness.
like, says the Brit to the Brit about the Brit. Like there's just 100 different people involved and they're all just going, yeah, those British guys, what are you gonna do?
And we also get the first of multiple, I'm kicking myself for not tallying them up / writing every single one of them down, but multiple crackpot names that Martin comes up with for Simon. So the first one we get is Eurotrash.
Oh yeah.
I missed that one. I have my list for the other stuff later.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about Eurotrash.
Yeah, it was right before he said perfect teeth for a Brit. He was like, so what's with this Eurotrash investigator or something like that?
Yeah, his insult game was on point.
I have my
very
favorite
much
in
so.
my head.
And I also love that now, I don't think he had before, but he's openly talking about escape to Malcolm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now it's all in like, oh, how about I just escape, blah, blah, blah. But like later on, Malcolm's going to be like, this bastard told me. Like, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
He straight up told me that he was going to do this and I didn't do it. Which leads us into our fishing, hacking plant-ish. I don't know what the term for that would be. And I did like a couple bullet point mini deep dive, the fact that Malcolm has issue with certain things, but not with cutting off people's body parts whatsoever.
Especially hands.
They're like, so at this point, we've chopped off someone's hand in the name. But now, granted, it worked. I'm not being gripey. Like, it's what had to happen. But he had like no hesitation. Like, let's Paul Bunyan this sucker. Let's go. And he did that. He straight up chopped his thumb, like all in the name of the cause. He's completely hacked up Endicott's body. Like, he's very comfortable doing some things that are making me very, very nervous at this point. Because what I could see our writers doing is, yeah, they did the whole like, ooh, it was really Ainsley sleight of hand at the end of the first season. And this whole second season, ooh, Ainsley's crazy. No, really, it's Malcolm. And he does something psychotic by the end of like the second arc because we all expect it to be Ainsley right now. So they're doing the like Ainsley, and then this thing's coming up behind you and you have no idea before it stops. Sure. Sorry, I'm good. I just expect something like that maybe to occur.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared for whatever the hell.
I'll be honest, my whole game is thrown off because I thought for sure Simon was going to be longer, that the whole second arc was going to be them escaping this charge and getting rid of or whatever happens to Simon. So the fact that we finished this in 40 minutes and still have 5 freaking episodes to go, I'm like, what are we doing? And now we've seen the escape is a major part, but
2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I thought at least 2, and then maybe they're gonna kill him because he's getting too close or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous and I like it. Like it's the good kind of I don't have a plan and I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna roll and see what happens.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the last season of Game of Thrones where they did something that the whole show had been building up to and it ended halfway through the last season. And I remember finishing that episode and thinking, well, what's going to happen next? But these are not the same writers. These are hopefully, you know.
As long as it doesn't go all the way the Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have much more faith in these people than I did in D&D. So there you go.
Hopefully, Malcolm doesn't just burn everything to the ground.
Exactly. This is me trash talking them the right way.
Hey, we're not.
Our writers are much better.
We are
definitely not.
No.
Getting back to the fishing plant, it really broke my heart to watch Malcolm run from the team.
Yes!
These are your people. Don't do it. Drop the finger and run. I mean, it was such a minor thing, but just to watch him hear the voices of the people that he normally is comforted by, and then be like, and run. I was like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
the whole scene afterwards with Simon, like it's our first taste of them really verbally sparring. Malcolm didn't really hit back quite as much on the boat the first time. He was just in shock of, oh my God, this is way worse than I ever imagined it was going to be. And now he's kind of trying to like spit back. I love the joke of like, oh, well, the killer would have taken the whole head if it was a modern cell phone. And he's like, yes, thank God we did not have to do that. Because I could just see him going, hack, hack.
Great.
He's just, our boy is in deep. My God. And again, the team is missing neon flashing signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Simon is staring him down like it's almost as if it was planted this way and glaring. Like, are they just all going, wow, what else is going on in this guy? Oh, look, fish. Like, are they just not paying attention to anything at this point?
Yeah, like Gil, who is normally so tuned into Malcolm, not noticing Danny, who is also now very tuned into Malcolm.
My God, even
Really?
JT at this point would have been clued in enough to be like, looks like something's going on here.
Yeah,
Especially-
usually get creeped out.
Yeah, especially considering how much he seems to like idolize Simon. I would think that JT would be like, oh, I love this guy and I love everything he says. What is he saying about Malcolm? Like, I don't know.
He's also getting very bad at lying.
Yeah.
You talking about Mal? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very
Like
bad.
his like, oh, there was a cab and some water. And it's like, why is it just your hand and no other part of your body?
Exactly. Like I would have said, oh, as I was running in, my hand scraped along the edge of like something and that's why it's wet. Or just not like the whole cab and pothole and whatever story. Like,
Or
really?
anything. Like, honestly, he could have been like, dropped my phone in water, had to grab it. Like, that's literally what happened. Like, it makes more
Yeah.
sense to go that way.
Exactly. Because isn't your pocket wet now that the thumb that you cut off is in there? Like,
Right.
gee,
Maybe
I
it's
don't
in the
know.
breast pocket. Maybe it's tucked away in the lapel. We don't know.
Replace my handkerchief. Just, stick that in there.
What is that? Oh, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. It's fine. It's a nail.
Mhm.
All right, which leads us to our first kind of very sincere moment between Mr. Martin and Miss Dr. Capshaw. I'm just gonna leave that to y'all. I'm just gonna step back. Go ahead,
Yeah.
kill it.
Yeah, no, I mean, this whole scene was just really tough for me in general because everything that has been happening with me personally at work and losing people. So I could not get through any rewatchings of this without tears in my eyes to ignore all that. I know that Martin could potentially be manipulating her when he's trying to like level with her and be sincere towards her. And I mean, Capshaw even points that out to him later, like after he's done speaking. But this also reminded me of part of a book that I've been rereading that I read a long time ago called Hidden in Plain Sight, Confessions of a Sociopath, by an anonymous person who's writing under a pen name because obviously they've done some very, very questionably moral shit. But she at one point discusses like morality as Dr. Capshaw had pointed out, like you killed 23 people and you feel bad about losing your patients. So this author talks about like how people normally associate sociopaths with having this lack of remorse. And then goes on to point out that there's, as she says, there's probably no universal or objective concept of morality, and that morality is, as she says, like it's elastic and it's, changeable. And that makes me think of things like, people talk this and that about the death penalty, but if you ask someone, did the Nazis deserve to die? Then you'd be like, And we see that even with, the rest of the Whitley family. Ainsley seemed to be okay with thinking that Malcolm killed Endicott, and now was suddenly sort of okay with the fact that she killed him. And Jessica and Malcolm turned in Martin for killing 23 people, but are okay with her killing Endicott. And it goes to show like this is really difficult. And, I see that Martin's mindset is also very difficult to understand. But at the same time, you killed 23 people, Martin, and you are toilet scum. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Like, it doesn't matter how charming Michael is. The basis of this whole thing is what he's done. And yeah, people can be hot and be killers, and they can be charming and be killers, and they can be you know, the attractive older salt and pepper guy, but that doesn't change the fact that he is indeed what? A killer.
Yeah.
So this is the first like emotional scene we really get between the two of them, and I watched this multiple times just to watch everything that was going on. And they make it look like she's being vulnerable and she's going to start to fall for that classic charm that we've seen from Martin so many times. And she, you know, it's quiet. She says, or sorry, Martin says, "I'm sorry," which is, you know, at what Caroline said, it piqued her interest. And she went into this whole dichotomy between a surgeon and the surgeon and things like that. So this was such an awesome scene to watch. And like you said, he is a killer. He killed 23 people. Capshaw's words were complete disregard for human life. And so I enjoy the fact that the show lets us see this real, like, you know, what mimics real life serial killers.
Mhm.
The charm and the charisma that pulls people in and makes people be vulnerable to them, which we call grooming. And then at the same time, they hit us with the fact that, hey, by the way, he still killed people and he's human and he's infallible, but he's still pretty shitty. So,
Right. I really like that they've brought in another doctor.
yes.
Because it's true. Like at the end of the day, he absolutely knows what that feels like. He knows what it's like to lose someone on the table or to have to deliver that news to a family member. And I'm sure a part of him felt that like horrible doctor remorse in that moment where like that. I don't know that he's like completely, he's not on the sociopath scale for me, psychopath maybe. But I really think he has the capacity to feel and to be empathetic. I just think he ignores the shit out of it all the time.
Yeah, no, something in this book that they talk about is, or that she at least claims, is like sociopaths have emotions and they have like a moral code. It's just not what we as society thinks fits our standards. So, you know, take with that what you will.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had written that like there are people that are capable of compassion and remorse, and there are people that are pretty much not capable of it. Like
Pop Ainsley.
if you know anything about Israel Keys, like that's the complete opposite end of Martin. But I think to a certain point, Martin may have the ability to be compassionate, but some of it's learned, not necessarily innate. And it's used to his benefit. He knows how to make it work for him.
Yeah.
So
Right. Like he knows this is the time where I should say, "Oh, my apologies." Not so much that inner Jiminy Cricket going, "Hey, you should feel bad." It's, "Oh, this is the right moment to say this to get what I want."
Yep.
Yeah.
So like
Agreed.
I said, I really enjoy that the fact that the show reminds us of who Martin is.
Yep.
Agreed.
In between all those moments that we see him having the upper hand and charming people. And so she says, "How can you separate the two?" And he was like, "Perhaps it's my particular brand of madness." And I wrote "playing God." And that is one of the things, that is a phrase that Michael himself used in an early season 1 interview to describe Martin and how he sees playing Martin. And yeah, he had the ability to play God. She said, "You took human lives," and he was like, "Not on the table. Like I didn't do any of that. I saved people." So that is what drives him, is that I can choose when people live or die.
Yeah.
Well, and everything that happened on that table was about him being the best.
Yes.
That was his like need to be like the God complex of like, no one's a better surgeon than me. No one's a better, like, I'll be darned if I'm going to lose somebody on this. That it really is completely separate from that other life, other than the fact that that profession gave him the knowledge to do some of the things that he did as a killer. But I don't ever think Martin stepped up to an operating table and went, "Oh, maybe this guy." Like, no, that was too much of a pride thing.
Yes.
To be like, like not blemishing my record. Thanks.
Very much. And the fact that he has a surgical technique named after himself.
Right.
Yeah.
All that pride written all over it.
Yeah, it's pride. It's narcissism too.
Yes. Yes. Yep. So we get to see that shining through in this scene. So, and then, so the end of that scene, we get some more vulnerability, but then we start to get things shifting a little bit. And I just, once again, love this scene. I love the nuances of it and how they play the whole thing through. It starts with us seeing Capshaw. Is she getting dragged into this charismatic, compassionate trap that Martin is setting? And then we start to see it turn that she's setting the trap for Martin. And I got really giddy and spent so much time laughing at this and his reaction. And, there's all this emotional language and whatnot. You're better than this place. How'd you end up here? And she waits for a second. And then she said, they told me you would do this. And you see Martin start to crumble a little bit.
Yep. He thought he was in control.
I was like, you do it, you get him. So yeah, so it was, you start the scene off wondering who's gonna fall into whose trap. So I like this tension of who's setting the trap and who's gonna fall for it, and where do we end up at the end of the scene. So
and an amazing scene to have for those actors too. Like,
Yes.
these are not newbies. These are like seasoned veterans. One of them is an Oscar winner. Like, for them to have that, like, they just brought so many nuances that are just tiny little things that make a big difference in that scene.
Yeah. So
it's really awesome.
And I like that they did that, because he always ends up with the upper hand, especially when it comes to Malcolm. So it's about damn time that someone else has the upper hand on him. And
that's the problem. He's thinking with his pants instead of with his
Yes!
brain, and it threw off his typical game.
Yep.
My next thing in ginormous letters at 2051 was, Jessica, what the F? Shut your freaking pie hole.
Me too. Yes.
Jess?
This is really, I thought this was one of my favorite Jessica scenes. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Like, the thing is the scene as a whole is amazing, but Jess is I see a little bit of myself in the fact that she likes to get like the snarky, oh, so this is what I probably did, and like go off. And I do that sarcastic jackal stuff all the time. And that's what she did. And the problem is that she gets into it and then she spits a bunch of crap that could have, if this was a longer arc, like, it clicks with Huxley. Like, oh my God, this could have been the scene of the crime. And I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, very true. Yeah.
That's literally in caps what I have written at the very top of my notes right here. Jess, stop talking.
Oh yeah, the scene is great. It was wonderful how they kind of sparred into the American this versus whatever. But I'm just like, Jess, you got to know when to quit, babe. You're ahead. Just stop. Just stop. What did you say?
Sounds like me. I have the same problem.
See, no, I loved this because this was another example of, there are so many people in the show who love to just do victim blaming and say, like, how did you end up with so many homicidal guys? And I love her quote. She says, I have met some terrifying men in my day. If you're trying to scare me, you're going to have to do better than this. And I was like, yes, queen. Thank you. That's what I think I was focused on. But you're right that she did run her mouth just a tiny bit too much, trying to like one up him, and then ended up like screwing herself over in the process.
Yeah, like the minute you bring your emotions into it, you say things that give you away. And she was cool, collected, chill, and then she got like, and then just stuff started coming out, and I was like, no, stop, no.
And her face, just like Malcolm's, is very, neither of these two can hide their emotions at all. Just when her face dropped, I was like, no.
Yes, and a good profiler would pick up on those micro expressions. I'm not a profiler, but I've watched enough of this and enough to pay attention.
At this point,
and I was like, oh geez.
Ainsley is the PR rep. She is the only person we put front and center to any investigator, because that chick will stone face the entire interview. Like, straight up. I really did like the cool like Zoom transition they did too, where she calls and says family meeting and the camera goes past her and then it's Malcolm.
Yes.
That was a neat little Zoom transition. I enjoyed that. Kind of
cool. That was a transition I enjoyed.
Shout out to production. Y'all rock my socks.
Yes. And this was also the first time that we got to see sort of a sense of Ainsley's motive behind him. Like, she says, I was trying to save us, which I don't think she has said exactly why she did it.
Was she though? Like, if you're blacked out,
no, I know.
Really know why you did anything.
No, exactly. So I just think that it's interesting that this is the first time she's giving her opinion behind it. Whether or not that's true, we can talk for hours about that. But
because everything up until this has been, I don't remember it.
Yes.
So either she's been lying about that, which could be.
Yes.
Either the memories gradually started coming back, or she knew from the get-go that Malcolm was lying, and that's what led to our big, pig's blood shenanigans.
Yeah, and I had that written down too. I was like, does this match up with her blackout? Like,
We'll have
this
to
is the
find
first
out.
time we
Or
hear.
it could just be her like defending herself to her
Yes.
family because she's the
Exactly.
youngest
Yes.
sibling and she's got to stand up for herself a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yep.
You know, even though you murdered a guy, but it's fine. At 2309, I liked that Jess deliberately pointed out in this meeting, like, look what you're doing to him, look what you're doing him. And we deliberately got kind of, again, like, okay, Ainsley. Like, she wasn't rude, she wasn't passive, that was just absolute indifference.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't, oh, I'm so sorry. It wasn't, I don't care. It was just cool. Like, there was no other reaction from her. So, I kind of like, or the fact that she was more interested in the fact that there was a thumb in the freezer. Like, she's like, wait, really? Let's talk about that. Instead of the absolute franticness of everyone else in the room, you know? So I really do feel like they're steering it in the like daddy's little girl direction for sure there. Like that maybe there is some sociopathy. I don't know. But I feel like they're deliberately having Halston be very like anti-emotional, like non-emotional a lot in some of these scenes. At 2354, the scene between Simon and Martin and then also Capshaw, like, can we put any more personality into one room?
Oh boy.
Like, all we need is the dude that goes, spill out of wine. Like, that's all we need to add to have just the most personality. And it, like, I just put Legends Unite. That's what I put for this scene. Because, like, all three of them were amazing. We have the other list of, let's see, we also have the Brain Puzzler. Yes. My favorite part of this whole insult was when he does the made-for-TV movie on the side. Like, listen, it wasn't like he was on the big screen. Calm down, dude. It was Lifetime, for God's sakes. Yes. He also says brain fart.
That was my favorite.
Mind putzer, which I also enjoyed that as well. And he, you know, just deliberately getting under Simon's skin. Everything he could possibly do, like schoolboy taunting him in the playground. And I really, at that point, was unsure, like, are they going to have him go after Simon and just stab? Like, that, it was a moment where I was not confident that he was going to get stopped and something wasn't going to happen. I'm honestly a little sad. I would have enjoyed that whole storyline.
Yeah, I would have liked that. Especially in front of Capshaw, too. Like, how would Capshaw have reacted to that?
But then that puts him in at least solitary for confinement for a long time. We can't do that because we need Michael. So we got to threaten and then not actually do, because we need Martin the character to be around for a while unless he has another kid sometime, and we got to shush him into the shoe.
We also see him get defensive of Capshaw right there too.
Oh yeah. Like, you're being rude and like all this. Yeah, like you can tell that he's definitely got the flirty flirts.
That struck a nerve.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a little annoyed if they bring Jess into this and make her get jealous. Do not do that.
No.
I really hope. I really hope that they just play it like, you can have him, honey. Like,
girl.
I'm done.
Good luck with that. Because if they do, I'm like, oh, don't make it that petty. She's better than that. She's moved far beyond that. She'll just pick a different homicidal maniac to sleep with. God bless her. At 2726, we have our Malcolm cooking show with, I love that, first of all, he completely breaks the fourth wall, stares straight down camera.
Yep.
And that's only like the second time he's done it. And the first time, I think it was an accident. On it was the episode where he's eating salmon with his, was it episode 1, I think, and they're talking about Estonia.
Yes.
And he looks up and is like dead down camera for like a millisecond and then just kind of sways. This time it's intentional. The camera is meant to be Sunshine, aka us. And all of his dialogue in this entire scene is literally, how can we explain what the F he's doing to the audience so we don't look like there's no reason for him to be speaking out loud. He's by himself.
He's by himself.
This is this is like exactly what an inner monologue is like on stage. Like, when I teach my students, like, Juliet is basically saying all this stuff out loud. She would be thinking it, but it's a play and she has to say it out loud so you know. It's exactly what's happening right here.
Exactly.
All of this has to be said, so it's like, why is he plugging in a thumb? Like, I don't understand any of this. And before we get to the end of that, I believe we have some during stuff. Yes, or am I
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so you hit the during, and I have some after, so you
Yeah.
can do that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he obviously, we know he takes the thumb because he found a phone, and the phone has a fingerprint scanner rather than facial recognition. Now they say
Also bold to think that it was that thumb. What if it was the other thumb?
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, going
so
for it.
yeah. So they call it a fingerprint scanner, but it does not work like a stereotypical scanner. You need two components of a fingerprint on these fingerprint scanners on phones in order for it to work. You can't just replicate a fingerprint physically. You need what he calls the bioelectric current. Our bodies give off electric currents on our skin because of our nerves and everything. So the scanner isn't just picking up on the physical pattern of the fingerprint, it's also picking up on the electric conductivity of our bodies. So he plugs it into this little wire thing, which is a tiny little battery to give it a little, zap. So it's not just a dead thumb
Frozen thumb
opening a phone. But that way you can't just reproduce a fingerprint with silicone or plaster or something and put it up to it like a scanner, would.
Yeah, we're making it real hard for these heist and espionage movies in the future, man.
Yeah.
You can't pull that. Let
so
me,
you need
what
a
is
few
it, like
components.
National Treasure? I'll just use a piece of tape and rip this fingerprint off. And nope, doesn't work that way anymore, guys. Sorry about your luck. What I called at 29 minutes, again, the profiler pissing match. That's exactly what it was. It's like, who's the better profiler? Let me measure my what, and tell you who's bigger at this point.
I named it Battle Royale.
Thank you. Like it's literally let me out, testosterone you for 6 seconds. Tom and Alan just amazing together. Like they're going off of each other, the attitudes, the snark, I guess is a really good way to put it.
Yes.
And again, I just wish we had more episodes together where they could be like, weaseling and working their way out of this problem, and Malcolm could be dodging, accusations as we go. It was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. At 32:53, they do something amazing with the character Nat in the car that I'm such a sucker for it. I don't know if it's because I have a love of villains or whatever, but I absolutely adore the moment that they flip the switch and reveal them true selves. And it's almost always in the eye shift.
Yes.
Like where they're like innocent, boom, and they're like rah. And even the first episode of season 2, we talked about the guy on the ledge that does that switch, and he's like rah.
Mm-hmm.
She did a great, like the look into the rearview mirror. It was super creepy. The music helped with it. I really am such a sucker for that moment, and they knocked it out of the park. My apologies, they. Did a wonderful job.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely loved Bloom's score that happens while the character Nat is pointing the gun at him in the car. It's like this super choppy, like do, and it's like really, it makes you anxious. Even if you weren't watching anything visually, listening to it, you would be super on the like edge of your seat anxious. And it was a really cool, and it had some strings finally. I know with COVID being what it is and us not being able to necessarily go to orchestras and go to recording studios and get that stuff in it, I don't know if they're electrically produced or if he got like 4 buddies together and put all their parts on a thing, but I'm so excited to actually hear strings. It makes me so happy.
Acoustic real.
Yes, actual stuff. I can't wait for us in season 3 because it's happening. Manifest.
Yes.
To get to have like that other big, like where he had the 40-piece orchestra and to do some more stuff would be really cool. It was cello. Oh, by the way, in case anyone was wondering, it was cello. Props to Capable Bride Alert, and I'm fully aware that there's no way they let Tom do this. They won't let him jump across the desk, so there's no way they let him scale the fence. But I just wrote, Capable Bride Alert, look at our boy scaling a fence well over double his size.
And we know the fandom loves that Capable Bride.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a kink that we all share. I think it's a good thing. So shout out to the stunt double that inevitably had to do that probably multiple times over and over. Because much like the overhanded pull-up, it's not that easy. Scaling a fence that tall is not, and then you're jumping down. It's not the easiest. I know it's not necessarily a 40-foot building, but it's still not the easiest of tasks.
And in a suit too, like without ripping
Legit.
any of your clothes. Like,
And
dang.
honestly, as a male, the top of that fence is a little sketchy.
Yes, exactly.
Your
Yeah.
foot slips the wrong way, you lose your grip, things are
Mhm.
unpleasant. So props
Yes.
to you.
Yeah.
Props to you, stunt guy.
Yeah.
And then at that moment where Malcolm realizes he has a moment of opportunity, she's stuck, the character is stuck, and he can jump. The score is also completely like intense, like action sequence filled. And all I could think of during this entire rest of this scene with the shooting and all that is how Nathaniel Bloom in our interview was like, oh, my favorite part is that I get to score these action and intense sequences, and those are my favorite to score. And I'm like, this must have just been like birthday, Christmas meets Hanukkah
All at
meets
once.
like best day ever. Like he's just sitting in his room scoring crap, all happy and excited because it was like all the three things that he talked about were his favorite parts of Prodigal Son. I was like, there it is. I have serious questions at 34:16. How does Simon just have access to this yacht?
Yeah, this is a crime
True.
scene.
True.
Like it's a crime
True.
scene. Even if it was past crime scene status, ain't his yacht.
It's not
Like,
your boat.
Yeah,
And weren't they? It was a transatlantic. Weren't they headed back somewhere else?
Yeah.
Like
True.
and not only that, he just helps his ass all the way to the
to a
bar.
martini.
Make a top shelf martini too. Don't mind
He
me.
loves those
Like,
martinis.
I'm so confused. I did not notice this in my first watch through. Like when we were watching it live, but I noticed it when I was rewatching it. When Malcolm runs in here into this bar area, did you guys notice the way he jerks the scarf off of his neck? So he had a scarf. Clearly this was filmed in like actual cold weather because you can
Yeah.
see his breath a lot when he's outside and
Yeah.
stuff. So he comes in and he had like a black scarf like up around his neck. You have to go back and rewatch this. The minute he gets in the door, he's like, he just like throws it. He throws it off to the side. We have to get out of here. Like, but he just jerks. I probably just made myself all red because I slapped my own neck.
Like, what is the point of doing that?
Oh, it was so funny. Like he couldn't get it off and he's like jerking and like is angry. And I laughed really hard at this like 1 second moment of the scene. I legit just smacked myself.
Oh no. Jeez.
I also wrote, this whole scene is major disheveled hair alert. Thank you,
Yes.
Tom's hair. We
Yeah.
appreciate your hard work.
AKA, we saw that in the sex dungeon. It is exactly the way it
Yeah.
looked
I
in
am
that
a big
episode.
fan of the I'll be honest, like I'm a bigger fan of season 1 hair from
Yes.
Malcolm. I get that this
Yes.
is probably Tom's preference and good for you. It's your hair. Do what you want to do, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
But it gave me a little bit of like first season vibes where it like gets in front of his face a little bit. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, yay, let's do that more. I absolutely adore the phrase "I can't die in Brooklyn." I want a t-shirt made with this phrase on it.
Well, even more than that, I loved his phrase, "We're going to be killed by a millennial." What a twist!
Like, and then he has the other line where he's like, "Follow me," and he's like, "Obviously." Like,
Yes,
just all
yes.
of these snarky little remarks
Yes.
are the like, "I'm
So
British, I don't
good.
have a gun." Like
So good.
all of them. But just, I really want a T-shirt with "I can't die in Brooklyn," and then I want to wear it the next time we're in New York.
All right.
Just to be like,
get on
this
it.
right,
summer.
nobody shoot me in Brooklyn.
We will get on it for July. Also, yes, I have that on my list of things that I need for stickers. I need to get
Yes.
back on
Oh,
my stickers. That
absolutely,
totally needs to be
absolutely.
one
Both
them.
of those for sure.
Yes.
I also love, I don't know if people noticed
good.
this. Tom did like this adorable little growl when he tells Simon to stay down.
Oh.
So like Simon is already, his cashmere has been sacrificed in the name of his bleeding leg. And he does this, and I'm not going to do it because my voice is already crappy, and I'm afraid
Please
if I do
don't.
it, I will be
Caroline's like, I will
screwed.
jump through this.
I will be
tunnel, murder you."
severely screwed for the rest of this podcast because I'll start squeaking. But you'll have to go back and watch when he says "stay down." Like the down is like a feral, like, "Grr," and he does, and I was like, get him.
Oh, but also the don't you have a gun? And he's like, don't you?
Don't you?
No.
I'm British.
Yeah, and then just the
Guns?
"I'm British" answers the question. Like,
Yeah.
of course I'm British. I don't have a gun.
Goodness. Oh my gosh.
So I had a tiny, tiny little annoyance. As much as I loved our guest star, amazing. You don't shoot a gun by going pew, 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 and like jerking your arms. So in this scene where Natalie meets Malcolm and they like eye each other and Malcolm turns like back in the bar, literally 3 times Nat shoots the gun and does this. Like every time she shoots. And I'm just like, okay, you don't do like the Star Wars pew pew like every time you shoot it. Again, I'm not judging. You did a great job. I'm not in any way being degrading. It was like little kids playing cops and robbers outside or something. Like gotcha, rah. Like,
Oh God, we got her.
I lost Caro. Sorry, Caro.
It was the Star Wars reference. That was
There you go.
beautiful.
For those of you not watching the actual video, that was Caroline just completely dying over there.
Continue.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I also want to shout out at this point, there was a lot of like, is this the never ending ammo trope during this scene? Like a lot of people, it's not. So I counted. Nat shoots 14 times and the average clip is 15.
Ooh.
So it's not outrageous. It feels like 150 during the scene for whatever reason. But I went back and counted it and it's legit. So like your average clip for a Glock handgun, like the police issue version, which I know is not what she would have, but is 15. So it's legit. It's dead on.
Good job, Angie.
It feels excessive, but it's
Good
legit.
job. There's that
I know
underscore.
nothing if not weapons based on the immense amount of shenanigans I've researched in my life.
Yep, I was gonna say that's your under stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I'll just field strip a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I also really enjoyed in this whole section from the time that Malcolm is on the boat to the time that we, R.I.P. Nat. They use like the marina lights multiple times in scenes to like both backlight a character, but also do that thing where they deliberately shine the light right into the camera. And it creates like the sunburst effect on the camera where like the lines streak across and everything. And they do it really deliberately, and it's done in really gorgeous moments, like where Nat is just scouring the deck for Malcolm and silhouetted, and like the sunburst thing hits on the camera, and it's really cool. And they do it once for Malcolm also. Just a gorgeous use of probably what were their set lights, like out there trying to light the outside, and they're like, well, they're here, they're in the way, let's use them. And then it looks like something really artistic, and it was really beautiful. If you screenshot it, it's really a gorgeous shot.
Yeah.
At 36:23, Malcolm full on like football tackles Nat off the side of this boat. And I have some things to say. So I'm just gonna read. I don't normally read my script, but I want to make sure I hit everything. So I said I was really interested in the fact that he just threw his shoulder, knowing full well that this was gonna send her off the side of the boat. Like nothing about this was gonna keep her from flipping over the rail. So I fully respect the fact that she was actively trying to shoot him. So I'm not saying you can't defend yourself. I get that. It's totally fine. But he does something that he knows could very well end in her death. Now, it is like a fight or flight situation. That's fine. And then immediately flips and is trying to grab her as soon as it happens. Mm-hmm. So that's like, well, you made a choice, dude. Like, are you okay with her falling? Are you not? And it's all in the heat of the moment. But I'm really interested in it afterwards. If you look, he's like really desperate for her to grab his hand.
Yeah.
Whether that's like remorse for what he's done or whatever, I think it's deliberately done that way because we want to make sure that the viewer knows that he didn't try to kill her to clean up the Endicott nonsense, because we've already mentioned it before. Like if she was gone, wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. So
we have to make him like beg her, because otherwise the hero loses his, good guy status a little bit there if he just, shoves a chick off the side of a boat. I appreciated that. I thought it was cool that like he made that decision in the heat of the moment, like she's about to shoot me, I need to get her out of here, and then also like, oh shit, and like immediately tries to get her back up.
Yeah, I think it 100%. Just plays into...
Go ahead.
No, I think it just plays into the juxtaposition of his character. I mean, we saw that in the episode where he like hurt his schoolmate and then suddenly had remorse for it. It's just it's Malcolm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little.
I get it. Like I can't say I wouldn't have done that if somebody's shooting at me and it's you or me. Overboard, sis. Farewell.
Exactly.
Good luck to you. Mm-hmm. But I think because of the fact that we've already mentioned her death would be a cleanup, that we can't let him do that. Like we have to redeem him before she would die to make sure we know that there wasn't like an intentional.
Exactly.
I'm also calling 100% bullshit on her hanging on to that rope with that grip. No,
it's television, man.
I get it. Like I'm so over like I'm hanging on a ledge by my fingertips with my full body weight for a 9-minute monologue. No, you're not. Like this is not how it works. Like, and she has like this really weird like bent wrist
Yeah.
on swinging, you know, the gun. Like, no, you would be gone.
Yeah,
immediately.
my OT coworkers would be very.
Your arm would have dislocated and you would have lost grip anyway. Like
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
it ain't gonna happen. Anyway,
Pain
it's
of
okay.
Pincer
I'm
grasp,
over it.
man.
I
Mhm.
would like to maybe, and you can either agree or disagree, whatever you think. I think this might be most gruesome death on camera.
Most gruesome death, has it
Active
actively happened?
Actively
Yeah,
happening.
Yeah, like
I
because
would agree with that.
for me, honestly, for me, if we're gonna say off camera, I'm still giving it to freaking Jerry's jawbone. I cannot handle
Yes.
the freaking jawbone sticking out of the side of his
Because we
face.
didn't see that actively happening. We heard it. and
Right, so I
after
deliberately
that.
put on camera, like,
Yeah.
but I mean that was
No,
rough.
that's fair.
Because we've
It
seen some
was.
other like pretty gruesome stuff, but happening actively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I appreciated that. We know me. I like wump a little bit, but I did appreciate
A
that it
little
wasn't like. Shut up.
I
Listen, Jess.
had to.
I kind of appreciated that they made it like authentically. She did like you don't die immediately. Like
Oh,
it takes
yeah.
a second.
I was gonna say that. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
your body's still in control.
It
Like,
takes a second, just like when you're beheaded. It's a couple seconds before
Mhm.
your brain shuts down. So
Yeah.
I like that it was like, oh my god, and then boom, like you're
yeah,
it's,
exactly.
we're done.
Yeah, and when she was dangling there, and they, had the camera angle with her looking down below her, I went, "Oh no, they're gonna do that."
Mhm. They went there.
Glad they did. Go for it. Be gruesome.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
I also
Get it.
thought in the first time when, like, I watched it live, I thought that she falls dead and her eyes close, and I was like, no one dies like that. But when I rewatched, like, her eyes are still open. I was like, thank you.
Could you imagine though? I mean, not that I want to go to a dark place, but could you imagine just like looking down and being like, well, that sucks, and then game over? Like that's
I mean,
the end
yeah.
of- that's really rough.
Could totally be, yeah.
Hopefully I don't go that way, you know. Peaceful in my sleep. I'm good with that. I'll take that lead. At 37:10, we are informed by Gil that okay, they're basically using Nat as the scapegoat in terms of writers. I have some mixed feelings about that, but I want to hit some other things before I go into my mixed feelings. I want to hit the actual scene first, and then we can come back and discuss, because I think Carol and I are on a similar page here. First of all, I really liked how subtle Tom played the reaction to that. Because in Malcolm's head, he's like, oh my God, yes! Like he's really excited that this has worked out this way, because I don't think he thought it would go that way. I don't think he thought they would go, oh, that must have been the person that killed Endicott. I think he's expecting, he's still dealing with Simon and there's still a whole thing. And so he does this very little like, and then that's it. That's the only reaction, because he has to play it cool, right? Like poker face as much as he can.
Real surprise.
Yeah, and so I really enjoyed like the subtlety of the like, oh no, did this really happen? Okay, like we'll take it. It's fine. I absolutely adore how Malcolm plays Simon in this scene like an absolute fiddle.
Yes.
He throws flattery, praise, some well-placed comments, and he is eating out of his hand. No, this was all your idea, man. Don't come at me. I love the Sherlock Holmes reference there.
Yes,
The like, I'm the Lestrade. I was like,
Yes.
oh.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, English major nerd moment. Lestrade is the Scotland Yard investigator, or not investigator. Oh shoot, I lost the word. Inspector. That very frequently in some of the stories by Conan Doyle, like calls him in. So he's literally the Gil to Simon's Malcolm, essentially, if you will. And so by doing so, by calling him that, by saying, no, I'm Lestrade, you're surely Sherlock Holmes, like he lowers himself, that you're the genius, I'm the one that needed your help, and it just plays into that ego. It was gorgeous, and I love that reference. So Zuckerman, you rock. It made me very happy. I was like, I know that one. I know who that is.
I never read any of those novels, but I've seen the BBC show, so I got the reference too.
Amazing.
More than me.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing
Beautiful
show. One of my favorites. So yeah, just that whole scene, I really enjoyed how he really like twisted it. This was your idea. Look, you got another bestseller. I can help you out with the interview stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that seems to, at least for now, solidify the Endicott stories kind of completion in terms of active investigation. We know that it's always going to be there hanging, and maybe it will come into play later. So my thoughts. I don't know how I feel that it's wrapped up this quickly. Again, some of it is because I expected that to be a season arc, and whatever, that's on me. I placed that expectation. That's on nobody else. I'm intrigued that there's a bigger event in place for the last 5 episodes. I mean, it seems as though maybe the escape is at least the catalyst of that, if not the big event coming up in terms of Martin. Still sad that we wrapped up. I mean, I really pictured Simon Hoxley being like the baddie, if you will, for the rest of the season, like our big, antagonist. Whatever. I was wrong. It's my fault. I set expectations. They were incorrect. It's fine.
Hey, you're not the only
I
one.
am absolutely convinced that the cover up is going to come back to bite them. Yes. Here is my prediction. I look for them to get us nice and cozy with Brightwell and give all our hopes and dreams. And then they're going to shoot us down when Danny finds out. That's my guess. Because we cannot have happy couples because that doesn't sell you ratings. So I look, or Gil, one of the two, I think is going to discover the truth. And I think that could very well be a season 2 cliffhanger moment where we let that go. Like maybe the Martin stuff is wrapped and then the finale is like, oh, this is coming back to you now. We've all forgotten about it in 5 episodes and now it's a problem. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Carol, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I don't like the idea that everybody was suddenly saying like that Natalie was the so-called head of the snake. And then, of course, Hoxley is like, oh, so that's the Ouroboros kind of thing, whatever. I was just like, no, I don't think you understand the point of this. It's just, this is not the end of that cover up. Like you said, this is just, it's going to come back to bite them. This is, maybe this is the whole Ouroboros effect. This is just an internal struggle and it's going to just come around. Mm-hmm. When they least expect it.
That is kind of genius if you think about it. Like, it's not about that case. It's about the fact that we're about to come full circle later with the Whitleys. Yeah.
That's what I was sort of interpreting the title of the show to be referencing, is it's more than just the episode. It's about the whole show is how I would describe it. And I don't know. It was interesting, but again, I'm just gonna let the writers know where this is going. They are teasing the hell out of us with all this behind the scenes stuff for the finale. I'm very curious. I'm just going to let it ride out wherever it's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to let them do their thing.
Yeah. Like I said in our episode for the first episode of season 2, like people started freaking out immediately about storylines and Malcolm being manic and blah, 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 and jumping time. And I was like, look, these writers have not let us down. They did amazing things with, last season -2 episodes on a whim. And they took us, they still carried us through the story. So I'm gonna, obviously.
It's like, I'm not a script writer. I'm going to trust the script writers who have been hired to script write. Write scripts.
Yes, we are the viewers. We are allowed to have our own opinions and, our own expectations of where things go. But at the same time, we have to trust our writers to take us where the story is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Not let us down. So
I would just be very interested, now that you've brought it up, Angie, and just figuring out who was the first one between, I think it's down to like either Gil or Danny to find out, because as we know, like Gil doesn't want to, but is still entwining himself with Jessica, and Danny is just like at this point like plowing through everything, getting closer to Malcolm, which I am not opposed to at all.
True.
So I just think it's going to be interesting to see who finds out first, because Gil has actually a lot more of a morally questionable code than we realize. I mean, in the last season, he was essentially going to let Malcolm get away with being accused of murder, like telling him to like pack up and get out of here. But we know that Danny is very steadfast with her morals. Yep. So this will kind of be a turning point in figuring out, how far is Gil willing to go? And more than that, like, does Danny have any like excuses or something, or does she not? I'm very curious to see how this.
And someone on Twitter, God, I'm horrible with keeping up with notifications between the 2 accounts I'm on all day long. Mentioned, like, based on some fanfic, do we think that Malcolm would shoot Ainsley in defense of Danny?
I forget who said that.
So apparently there's some fic I need to investigate. Like, that sounds very interesting.
I've heard of this.
It was this afternoon on the podcast account.
So I'm
yeah.
interested in. I personally don't think he would do that. I think he
I
would
don't
take a
think he would.
bullet if Ainsley was coming for Danny.
Yeah.
I think he would
Oh,
sacrifice
yeah.
himself
Yeah.
and leave both of them unharmed. Personally,
Yeah,
I don't know if that would
absolutely.
even come to that. I
Mhm.
really appreciated the fact
Yeah.
that we just blatantly threw Ainsley in front of Simon, practically gloating. How does it feel to have found the killer? Just
Yes,
full
that
on.
line.
I mean, my God, like, and she's glowing, like she has full Martin.
And not even
Oh, what's it like? And just,
yeah.
it's amazing.
And I appreciate the language they use there, because not even the killer, it was the woman who killed Nicholas Endicott. So it's even more specific, not just. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
boy.
you can
Yes.
draw so many parallels between Ainsley's interview with Martin versus
No.
Dude,
the
just saying.
technically reverse interview between the profiler and the killer. I mean, I was just thinking there's so many parallels here. And then
Oh, boy.
Martin's face being unintentionally paused on Malcolm's TV because in season 1 because Jessica threw a shoe at him, and then
I was
The
waiting.
heel.
Yep.
I was waiting for it to happen
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, exactly. And then Malcolm pausing Ainsley's face, like 2 killers paused on Malcolm's TV. I'm just like, oh, I love
But of course,
this
Ainsley
symbolism.
is paused at like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and like a gloating moment. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that just goes to reinforce gender roles between men and women and all of this, like, oh, Ainsley's so innocent. Martin is such a dirty scumbag. Like,
Both have killed someone.
yeah. Mhm.
Just saying. Our final scene before we close the episode is at 40 minutes and 50 seconds in Martin's cell. Again, I'm suspending my disbelief because I call complete bullshit that he didn't hear the door. The door that in every episode sounds like a castle
Makes
gate
obnoxious noise.
being open. I'm sorry about made you spit. I did not mean to do that when you took a drink.
I have great bolus control from those
Good,
also
nicely
things.
done. But like literally, like this door in every episode is like gong gong, like this is the loudest. And he wakes up because he missed the door, but hears the high heels.
Yeah.
Eh.
I'm just go ahead and say that she just like, I don't know, like vaporized herself through the door. Just
Like clearly
she
she's
appears
an
out of
X-Man
nowhere
and can
Yeah,
walk
no,
through walls
She
or
just
something.
like keeps
I don't
appearing
know.
out of nowhere.
I mean, in her defense, and this is another nerd moment, high heels are technically a high-pitched noise, and high-pitched noises, especially as you get older, are harder for people to hear, but still, whatever.
Right, but then why did that wake him up and not the door?
And out the door.
I don't know, his dream about Versailles.
I don't know. The logic,
I don't
the
know.
logic there is
The
whatever.
little pieces of logic.
So the score for this scene is really cool,
Mm,
especially post kiss.
yeah, I
like-
wrote about
like,
that. I just wrote
yes,
Angie.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Okay, so again, I've told you, I'm a huge sucker for strings. I think they make a score feel like epic in scale. Because you can have like the piano and all the electronic stuff added in, but the minute you add strings to it, it feels just huge. It feels really big. And then don't even get me started if you throw a chorus in the background doing some crazy stuff too. I can't even handle that. But so you have like these strings playing in this, and it's kind of like peppy during the moment where you're not sure if he's going to hand her the scissors or stab her with the scissors. They of course get all creepy, like da-dum, da-dum. But then once they kiss, I'm almost positive again, this is the first time that's happened. Conga drums. Not kidding.
Oh,
Like little
I'm gonna
like,
have to go back and listen
full
to
on,
that.
like, and I don't know if this is supposed to be like inside Martin's head, like, oh yeah, like I don't even know.
Yes.
But like the tall, like orchestra conga drums are involved with the strings and everything else, and I was like, he's like, I don't know, he's like ready to go, like, so happy, and like it made me laugh. And then of course, he like Michael Sheen's all like heavy breathing and like beat still my
Oh
heart.
my god.
And all of this, yes, love it.
Like Caro says, you gross.
Yeah.
You nasty.
I don't know why, but the drums just stood out. I immediately went, what the hell? And then I was like, are those congas?
I need to listen to that again.
It's such a primal man symbol for him. It's just like, you gross.
I don't know, but it fit
Political
really great with the
stuff.
scene. I enjoyed it, and it was very
Oh, yeah.
different.
Mhm,
And
it was.
again, you know, it goes back, we could talk for hours, like who's being played, who's the player, like there's so much in the dynamic there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
going
when
between
we
them.
we saw a quick glimpse of this kiss in previous promo footage.
Yeah.
Well edited, like
So
we had no idea
yeah,
who was initiating.
that's
in
what
the
I was
edit.
just
Yeah.
about to say too. We
Oh,
had
my
no
bad.
idea. No, that's fine. Yeah, we just saw the kiss as it was, but really quick, so that all threw us into a tizzy. So we had no clue who started it, and then we come to find out that like it looks like Martin started it, but at the same time I rewatched that scene a few times because I was paying attention to their expressions and whatnot, and the, you know, the body language, and I was like, but he gave her the scissors and she grabbed them, and then she put her hand back on his.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I was like,
she
oh
I
was-
think
God.
she started it.
So
yeah.
she
the
started
sign
it, but
said
she-
open for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Mhm.
she started it, but she let it go wherever.
Yeah,
Martin
like she
wanted
gave
it to
him the
go, kind of thing.
okay to lean in and like she was like, okay, come on, it's
Yeah.
all good, bring it
But
in.
that's
bring it in,
another
brother.
reminder that she has control in all of these interactions with Martin, even if it looks
She does.
like she doesn't.
I really hope that
right away.
continues because I don't think Martin has been dominated by a
Yes.
female.
Yes, we
Go for
need
it.
That
Mhm.
go
Have a
for
little
it.
taste
Yes.
of submission.
Yes.
As much as it creeps me out that they're doing anything,
Yeah.
at least let it be a little miserable for him. That's all I can
Yes.
ask.
I mean, she even like starts to show that dynamic when she says like "good boy"
Good
to him
boy.
when he gives her back the scissors. Like, and he is disgustingly, I guess, turned on by it, which I was like,
Yes, clearly he was like, wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so that's
Definitely.
it for episode stuff, but we do have our weekly fan profile in shout out form this
Yes.
week. And I still am not 100% on the pronunciation. I'm going to do my best. Okay, so we are shouting out, I think it's Canarick, because there was a discussion about it was similar to canary. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go
Sure.
with that. Can for short, thank God I was given that permission because I don't want to have to keep bombing this poor name. Canarick 13, my lord, does she deserve the accolades and the praises? Yes, like hands, like,
Mhm.
so if you've been living under a fandom rock and you're in our fandom and you have not seen some of these things, she's primarily a gift set creator, but the biggest thing she does is give us the lighting we deserve.
yeah.
Like
Very
whatever
true.
methods and stuff that she uses on her program, it's gorgeous. And we have some gifts that we're going to be playing over this, specifically some where she shows like the original on one half of it versus the what she did.
Oh, I haven't seen those yet. Ooh, I'm missing out.
I've shared them on Tumblr. I'll have to tag you.
Tumblr. I'll have to check more on Tumblr. I've seen them
Like
on
it's
Twitter.
really cool. There's like a slash along the middle, and the top is like the dark original versus what she does, and it's so amazing. Really, really cool.
So good.
I'm my blog on Tumblr is simply a reblog dedicated to her now because all I do is go reblog like over and over and over.
Yeah, this morning you were like, yeah, my Tumblr is now a shrine to our latest shout out.
Literally, it's just I don't exist there anymore. It's just all for her stuff. And to be like the little hype man in the back. I'm Flava Flav. Like I'm just hyping her up in the background. I really adored. So we have some answers on our fan profile, like what do you want to see in the future? What's your favorite part of the show? Blah blah blah. And so her answer for what do you want to see in the future was a non-dream Malcolm and Danny kiss.
Yes.
You are awesome.
Same.
I felt that deep in my bones.
Mhm.
So please check her work out on both Twitter and Tumblr. It's at Canarick13. I'm gonna spell it for you just in case.
Good.
Kanarek, and then the numbers 13. Check her out. Well worth it.
Yeah.
As soon as you're done watching this, go check her out. She's awesome.
She's been blessing us with old content of Baby Tom from
Yeah,
every possible thing he's been in.
Yeah.
Like even stuff that I hadn't seen like any reference to. I'm like,
Yep.
what? So
Because
that's been
she's
my past
international,
week.
she has some access to like
Yes.
international Blu-rays
Yes.
and DVDs that we don't have in the States.
Mhm.
So has been making like lots of gifs of like behind the scenes footage and practice fighting for this and whatever. And I mean, it's really cool to see some of that stuff from like
Right.
Mind Gamers and Inheritance and all those old shows that we don't always have the best access to in the States. So it's really nice. So check out those sites, check out her pages. They're amazing. And the only thing I have left to say is Malcolm gets hit by a car in the preview.
What?
Let's go.
Oh,
My wumpy
no.
self was like, yes, because why? Because he gets hit in front of Danny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please
For
go
those
to
of
a
you-
hospital.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't get that on the American promo, but right after
Yeah, we were gypped.
the East
God
Coast
bless Twitter
premiere,
and our international friends hooking us up.
Yes,
Intel.
thank you,
Y'all are-
Canada.
Yeah,
Thank
some of
you,
our,
Canada.
Canadian friends started screaming about
Yes.
Martin.
And the rest
sorry,
of us went, it's the
Malcolm.
same preview we saw yesterday. Why are you freaking out?
It's like we live in the States.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's I'm very
Yeah.
excited about it. We'll see what happens. My only
Crazy.
hope is that he actually goes to the hospital and we get some aftercare.
Please. I hope that
Please.
Not,
nope,
we'll just keep going to fanfic to get it.
My other
We ain't gonna
thing-
get it nowhere
Yeah.
else.
my other thing is I hope that she screams when he gets hit by a car.
God.
That's
am
my little
living-
lumpy
okay.
thing.
I am living for him because it looks like he like rolls off the back of it, right?
Yeah.
I am
mhm.
living for the moment where she drops to her knees, grabs his head, and is like, "Bright."
Yeah.
I'm
No, not even Bright, but like Malcolm again, because she
Oh my
hasn't.
God,
I don't
oh
think
my
she said
God.
it since. Yeah.
She
Yeah,
needs to say Malcolm. She needs to freak out and say Malcolm, please.
Yep.
Maybe this will be our non-dream Brightwell kiss. She'll have to give him CPR.
Listen to
Oh,
us,
please.
writers.
To us. That's how they'll feed us that BS. Is through CPR.
Gosh.
Next week's episode is going to be very interesting on this
Yeah.
podcast, guys.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Uh,
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't know if they're going straight through or if we are going to have a break week because we're technically 7 weeks until the end of May. I don't know how they're going to work that or
We're
not.
gonna have one
but
somewhere.
Either way, we finally are getting like consecutive weeks of stuff. So, yay!
It's been too long.
It has.
It's been too long. I needed
like
this.
water to a person that just trudged across the desert. Let's go.
Oh man.
And then it's going to
Well,
end on my birthday, and I'm
Instead.
not going to be happy.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's gonna end well.
We'll get drunk.
Are we
we'll
voting
get
for
drunk for
no
that one.
hiatus end on the 21st? Is that what we're voting for?
We'll get drunk for that one.
Yeah.
I don't have the mental capacity for this.
All right. Well, that wraps it up, guys. We're back. We're here.
Yeah.
We back,
We
baby.
back.
We are.
Week until they tell us they're done for the season.
Mhm.
Yep.
Speaking of, keep using the Renew Prodigal Son hashtag
Yes.
out there. We need to get the word
Please.
out.
Please do
We've
that.
got Renew videos out there from testimonials from people that we can be tweeting and retweeting, and Warner Brothers TV and Fox TV in your
Yes,
app.
both of them.
Adam,
Fox.
Bam 'em. Let's go. Grassroots it. We got to get it done for our people. So
Mhm.
have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.